Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. And we're back again to talk about these lawsuits that the lawyer, Tony Busby, said would be coming out. He would be revealing more of from that 120, allegedly 7 more people have came out with these lawsuits and him to describe what they are alleging happened and took place back in the day between them. Allegedly P. Devil Combs and some other celebrities who they refuse to name in these lawsuits. Now, on the YouTube streets, as they call it, they've been saying that some of these celebrities have been allegedly going around paying people off so that they would not have to come up in these lawsuits, having settlements, if you will, allegedly, apparently, so that their names won't be put out there. But that doesn't mean that their names might not still be put out there. There is apparently a judge who is fighting very hard to have those names put out there, and I hope that it happens because we need to see who these people are so people can know them for who they are, and then we need to act accordingly, as I've been talking about throughout these videos on this channel. Now, there were a few different articles talking about this. There are indictment papers. I didn't put the indictment papers on here. Everybody should understand that those documents are detailed. They tell the very raw details, so to speak, of what happened, of these situations. And then you have the articles that come up and they summarize them for the most part. Now, allegedly, with this 7, there were 4 men and 3 women this time. The youngest was allegedly 13 years old at the time of the alleged crimes. Y'all know I have to say alleged and allegedly. As I've said before, where there's smoke, there's fire. Not everybody is lying. I also mentioned how a lot of these lawsuits, they're very specific from person to person, but they all have very specific details in common as well. And I quote, in several of the suits, plaintiffs allege that Mr. Combs R-worded them, forced oral sex on them, or aggressively groped them. This article also reminded everybody what we've been talking about since all of this started. That allegedly, y'all know I have to say allegedly, he was a celebrity who used his power, his fame, and his influence to hurt people, to bribe people, to threaten people, to coerce people, to give them ultimatums, to force them into doing things against their consent that they did not want to do. And I quote, the lawsuit further accuses Mr. Combs of leveraging his power and influence in entertainment to manipulate, intimidate, and silence those around him, end quote. Once again, using all of that fame and power to tell people, you better not say anything, or this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Having other people help him, and if they didn't, he threatened them into doing so, or gave just a little bit of pushback and they crumbled into whatever crime, alleged crime, helping him do so, allegedly. Now, this one article lists the lawsuits, the 7 lawsuits, in a specific order, but I'm going to go in the order of another separate article. One of the lawsuits is involving the then 13-year-old, now adult, who is alleging that P. Devil Combs R-worded her at an after party for the VMAs. A man who was 17 years old at the time, who was reporting and alleging that he was victimized by P. Devil Combs. He was an aspiring musician. That's how he came in contact with him. One of the other 7 was a celebrity personal trainer who came in contact with P. Devil Combs at a party, who alleges that he saw also other high-profile celebrities at said party participating in certain ungodly acts, if you will, who was also victimized by P. Devil Combs. And another man who ran a security firm came in contact with P. Devil Combs and was victimized by him, allegedly. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. There are 3 other people, of course, of that 7, who we'll talk about later at the end of the video. This next particular article starts off with explaining what happened to the 13-year-old girl, the young woman who was the 13-year-old at that time, when the alleged crimes took place. And I quote, Sean Diddy Combs allegedly drugged and R-worded a 13-year-old girl at a house party, according to a new civil lawsuit. One of 7 filed by plaintiffs' attorneys Tony Busby and Andrew Van Arsdale on Sunday night against the music mogul. The alleged victim said she was 13 when she tried to get into the Music Video Awards at Radio City Music Hall on September the 7th of 2000. A limo driver told her that Combs liked younger girls and said she fit what Diddy was looking for. According to her lawsuit, she said she was not granted entry to the award show, but she was extended an invitation to an after party where she said she was given a spiked drink She claims she found a bedroom in which she could lie down. Combs and others allegedly came in behind her, end quote. And we're going to pause right there because y'all know I've never been the kind of channel to just offer you the details without a side commentary or saying what things are going to happen, what people are going to say, what we ought not say, things to help people. Right off the bat, I already knew people were going to make comments to the effect of, why wasn't she at home? Why was she trying to get into the VMAs? Why was she this? Why was she that? Probably even people going so far to make comments about, oh, she was being fast, this is what happens, etc., etc. As if some of these same people weren't out here doing this kind of stuff or worse. Now, I'm not justifying any bad behavior where anybody's child is concerned, but one thing people tend to forget is sometimes there are not parents present to be mindful of these children. There are people out here, both men and women, with one child and they don't even care, couldn't care less about where their child is, what their child is doing, and who their child is with, who their child is associating themselves with. So instead of asking immediately why the child was trying to get into the VMAs, why she was going around with people she didn't know, why don't y'all ask where in the world was her mother and her father? Why weren't they mindful of where their daughter was in the middle of the night so that she wouldn't be off with some person that she didn't know and who had very bad intentions for her? Once again, I'm not justifying or excusing children making bad decisions or doing things that they should not be doing. I'm saying somewhere there was a parent that was negligent, that did not do what a parent was supposed to do, which helped get this young lady, this girl who was a child at the time, into this position. And then from there was then mishandled by other adults who also weren't doing what they were supposed to, who had bad intentions, like I said before. Once again, why aren't people asking why the grown behind adult driver was telling a 13-year-old child, oh yeah, I see you're trying to get into the VMAs. They don't usually let children in there, in case you haven't noticed. But by the way, you happen to be the demographic of individuals that my boss likes to mess around with. Why don't you come with me instead? Why is nobody asking that? Who is this driver? He needs to be put out there too, going around picking up 13-year-olds to bring to his boss, knowing, once again, he had bad intentions. The R. Kelly of it all. Really? Driving around looking for children? Really? And before anybody says or tries to play that, oh, maybe he didn't know she was underage, it says right here in the documents, and I literally read it out of my own mouth not too long ago in this very video. The driver allegedly said, oh yeah, my boss, P. Devil Combs, allegedly likes younger girls. You're a good fit for what he would want. And if they were keeping her from being in the VMAs, either one, she wasn't supposed to be there because she wasn't a celebrity, she wasn't on the list, so to speak, or two, she wasn't old enough to be there. So that's all the information that we all needed to know that the girl was not an adult. Anyways, the young lady chose to not be identified in the documents in the lawsuit, which I don't blame her for because, once again, I already know because of the track record and the history of how our raggedy culture and community treats victims, especially black victims, especially black women victims. If this woman is black, once again, all of the, oh, she was being fast, that's what happens to you, etc. comments are going to come out of the woodwork with all the disrespectfulness that they can muster. Now, they also mentioned that there were two celebrities involved in these alleged crimes. Y'all know I have to say alleged. They called them Celebrity A and Celebrity B, and this is exactly what I'm talking about by them not naming these celebrities. It is a travesty and a slap in the face to community victims and people who they could further victimize for them to not name those celebrities. Every day that these celebrities go unnamed is a day that somebody else who they come in contact with can be victimized because they don't know what they've done or what they're capable of. Anyways, and I quote, Celebrity A is said to have held her down and vaginally R-worded her while Combs and Celebrity B, a female, watched, the lawsuit said, end quote. Now, once again, I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. That whole sisterhood, oh, we have each other's backs, being a girl's girl, if you will, is a load of bull crap. And this is another example of that. Now, unless this woman was forced to be there, Celebrity B, the woman, the female celebrity, then she's just as heinous and messed up as the other people who participated in this awful crime. and she needs to be thrown under the women's prison, just like Celebrity A, whoever that is, and P. Devil Combs needs to be thrown under the men's prison. Once again, for the people in the back, I'm saying this upon the condition that that woman celebrity knew what was going on. If she knew what was going on, if she knew what was going to take place, if she was there and she enjoyed what was going on, because whether y'all want to believe this or not, there are people, both men and women, who enjoy watching people be brutalized like this. They get off on it sexually. So if she knew what was going on, if she knew this was going to happen, if she was there because she consented to being there, wanted to be there, enjoyed this, and then didn't say anything to help this woman, once again, she's a heinous individual who needs to be thrown under the women's prison. Now, P. Devil Combs' legal team have been working overtime. Y'all know how they say, or they used to say back in the day, the devil be on his job. Well, his legal team, like the devil, is on their jobs too, working around the clock to make sure that he doesn't look bad, or to make sure that he looks like he's some victim of a bunch of people just filing a bunch of frivolous lawsuits, trying to make these people out to be liars. We better be careful. I said this before. Before anybody takes up for any of these celebrities, you better be awfully careful. You better know with 100% certainty that that particular celebrity is innocent, because if they're not, and it turns out that everything that everybody has been accusing them of and talking about is actually true, then that's going to make you look really bad. It's going to make you look like an awful person. We'll use this as a very good example. All these people going to bat for P. Devil Combs, who allegedly was out here R-wording and assaulting young girls and young boys. If you're out here going to bat for P. Devil Combs and more proof comes out, it turns out that these people are telling the truth, because he's not going to sit up and admit to all of his wrongdoings. Obviously, just because he says he didn't do it does not mean he's telling y'all the truth. I'm not saying that everybody is telling the truth about allegations, but we're not going to do what society and our raggedy community is very accustomed to doing, and condemning people who are making very concerning allegations. Once again, with a lawyer who claims to have a lot of proof and has a lot of credibility, that's not to be ignored. Once again, people need to be very careful who they are supporting, because y'all will look like really awful people if y'all are out here going to bat once again for a celebrity who was out here doing heinous things, allegedly. Now I'm moving on. And I quote, one of the other civil suits filed Sunday involves a 17-year-old boy who was allegedly ugged, y'all know what I'm trying to say there, and assaulted in the X-rated way, y'all know what I'm trying to say there as well, during a hotel party in New York City. The unidentified man claimed he was recruited to attend a party Combs hosted in 2022. He said he attended because he was aspiring to break into the music business. Combs assured, though, that he could make him a star. The lawsuit said the man said he was offered a drink and soon began feeling strange. He felt dizzy, weak, and confused, far beyond what he would expect from having consumed a single drink. It became clear to him that something was wrong. He realized later he had been ugged, the lawsuit said. According to the lawsuit, Combs groped the alleged victim's genitals for an extended period of time, trying to get him aroused. Now, it is I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, very heinous, very brutal, very disgusting and disturbing when you have an individual, and I've spoke about this before, very deeply sick-minded individual who takes pleasure in taking consent away from people. They know, he knew, allegedly, according to this lawsuit, that this man did not want to have, you know what kind, X-rated relations with him, but allegedly spiked this man's drink so that he could not stop him from doing what he wanted to this man. And whether anybody wants to believe this or not, you can still be traumatized by somebody doing something like that to you. Some people might say, oh, well, he just grabbed him, which is an awful thing to say. But you touched this man without his consent, allegedly. And it wasn't just, oh, he just touched him a little bit. They said in the documents in this article that he groped this man. Like I said, heinous. Knew that this man didn't want to be touched without his consent, let alone by another man, obviously. And we can talk about that later, because that's something along the lines, allegedly, of what happened with that lawsuit concerning the former CEO of Abercrombie and Fitch. These men in these high places who take pleasure in hurting other men. It's sick, it's demented. I don't usually say, people are going to like go to hell or burn in hell or whatever. But this is the kind of behavior that's going to bust hell right open, alongside with messing with them kids that he was allegedly out here doing. Anyways, and I quote, in another civil suit, a man alleged he was ugged and repeatedly brutalized in the X-rated way by Combs and several others, including the unidentified Celebrity A. The man, a personal trainer, said he met Combs through an unnamed fashion designer friend and was invited to an exclusive award show after party in Los Angeles hosted by Combs. Combs approached plaintiff, removed his pants, and began performing non-consensual sloppy toppy, if you will, onto him. Combs then directed plaintiff to perform the same on another individual in the room, known as Celebrity A. Due to the haze of the UGG he had been clandestinely served, plaintiff could not resist Combs' coercion and ordering. He felt trapped inside of his own body, the lawsuit said, end quote. Once again, allegedly him ordering people around, telling them what to do, telling them things against their consent after they have been incapacitated, if you will, with the UGGs, if you will, allegedly. Him saying, this man in the lawsuit allegedly saying he felt trapped in his own body. Again, this is just more on top of more of other people who have already said when they went to these parties, they were approached by people, told that they had to drink, ordered to drink, told, do you want to get this record label deal? Do you want to get into the industry? Then do what we tell you to do. It's the power dynamic of it all. It's the power and the coercion, the manipulation. Again, him saying he felt trapped in his own body. More people had said that in these lawsuits, that after they drank something that was spiked, they didn't feel in control. Something happened where they were there, but they were not there, so to speak. All they could do was just be present while what was happening, and there was nothing that they could do. Once again, a horrible position to be in, an awful thing to do to somebody. And I quote, in a separate lawsuit, a New York man said he was 21 and working for a private security firm when Combs assaulted him during an industry party at a music studio in Harlem. His suit said Combs offered him a drink, which he declined, but Combs insisted. When do you get to drink with a millionaire? Combs allegedly said. Combs moved closer without warning or consent, reached into plaintiff's pants and grabbed plaintiff's you-know-where and genitals, the lawsuit said. According to the lawsuit, the plaintiff tried to resist, but Combs forcefully continued and told him to take it easy and let it kick in, implying that the alcohol or another substance would relax plaintiff and make him more compliant, end quote. Once again, I honestly believe, allegedly, y'all know I have to say allegedly, he got off on forcing other men to do things they did not want to do, especially if they were heterosexual men. Once again, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in another video. I believe he got off on some sick-minded power trip, not just with the women, but with the men too, knowing that there were things they didn't want them to do, knowing that most people are not going to want them to do some of the stuff he wanted these people to do. He wanted to force himself allegedly on these people. Now, there are people out there, I don't know what done happened to them in their lifetime, but they're into that kind of stuff. But he couldn't go and get one of those people. No, he had to go and get the people who he knew, once again, would not give him his or her consent. And he took pleasure in taking that from them. It's really sad. It's really disturbing. He will have consequences. He will have to answer to God for what he has done. Y'all know I have to say allegedly. Now, here are those last 3 lawsuits I mentioned before at the very end. Now, this is a rough summary. If I'm not mistaken, the indictment papers might be out there, or you might have to come into contact with them. I'm not entirely sure, but these are a summary of what happened in those particular lawsuits, what those lawsuits and the people in them were alleging. Y'all know I have to say alleging. And I quote, another alleges Mr. Combs ugged an independent musical artist at a party and R-worded her. She says she woke up in pain and with imprints on her arms, suggesting she had been tied with ropes while she was unconscious, end quote. Once again, we know there are adults who are into that kind of stuff. It's called bondage, not being spiked, not having their drink spiked, being tied up with ropes and the like and the such, so to speak. Why he couldn't go out and get somebody who wanted to be involved in that kind of, X-rated relations, if you will. We all know the reason, allegedly. But instead, some woman who he hadn't really met that well, I'm assuming, who he came in contact with somewhere at a party, wherever it was, studio, wherever, allegedly drink spiked and tied her down with ropes while she was unconscious. Once again, the heinousness of the actions, how disturbing you must be, how disturbed as an individual you must be to do this to somebody else. And the fact that she was allegedly tied so tightly that she had imprints on her arms, on her wrists, so to speak. In a third case, and I quote, Mr. Combs allegedly exposed himself to a man and then grabbed the man's genitals in a rough and sexual manner, end quote. So more of the same from them other lawsuits from before. Him going up to men and grabbing them inappropriately, minus the consent. Once again, people like P. Devil Combs allegedly likes to get off on this kind of stuff. Taking power and control from another man in a heinous and brutal way. Once again, he will face his consequences. God don't sleep. He sees everything. And this last filing that we're talking about, and I quote, concerns a woman who alleges he was ugged at a party at Mr. Combs' hotel room and woke up naked in bed with the rap musician talking on the phone in the corner of the room. Now, if I'm not mistaken, because I have heard some of the details a little more in depth from the indictment from other YouTube channels, this was the particular situation where this woman, I think she came in contact with him somewhere, somehow, once again, the usual MO, drink was spiked, something was spiked, and she ended up waking up in bed with him, not knowing what had happened, how she got there. Her private parts were in pain, hurting. She realized what happened when she saw him in the corner of the room, allegedly either arguing or having a heated conversation or a loud conversation with somebody on the phone. She basically was like, it's my time to get the heck out of Dodge. She collected her shoes and then she got out of there. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. All of these lawsuits are specific, very specific to these different people. The details are very specific and different from lawsuit to lawsuit, although they all have a few things in common. Being spiked, the Uggs, the baby oil, P. Devil Combs, and celebrities who they need to name. I'll say that again. And a lot of people want to make it seem like, oh, he couldn't have screwed over this many people. Y'all don't know how awful some of these people really are. Once again, people need to get out of the habit of idolizing these celebrities and putting them on a pedestal. Now, unless Tony Busby and the law firm he's working with has a ghostwriter on the payroll who's just coming up with these stories, I don't believe that all of these people are lying. I don't believe that most of them are lying. Once again, these high-profile attorneys and lawyers work off of credibility. So if he has 120 and allegedly there was another 80, if I'm not mistaken, that was added to that, if he can have that many lawsuits and he's saying I have something that I can show for the credibility of what these people are saying, once again, not everybody's lying. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And for all the people who still feel like, oh, they're just trying to take him down. Once again, it's hard to be taken down with something that you're not already involved in. Or if you were out here being a, chaste citizen of the law, or you were being a godly man or woman, it's kind of hard to get caught up in these kind of allegations when you're doing the right thing. Let me put it that way. So what am I saying? Clearly he was out here doing something he ain't had no business doing. So I don't want to hear none of that. Oh, they're trying to take him down. I don't want to hear none of it. Pity party. Excuses. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about all of this down in the comments below respectfully. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Y'all all have a very blessed, beautiful, and safe day.